everybody, I'm Merisu the Art Sheep, and thank you so much for checking out this video. And today I am drawing Kilala and Ray from the manga series Kilala Princess, along with the 6 main Disney princesses that feature throughout the series: Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Ariel, Belle, and Jasmine. Yay! And let me just say, as you can see, this was a very, very big drawing. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't really think it was gonna be this much of a task to actually draw this, but it just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and oh my. In fact, it was so much bigger, I had to increase the size to being way more bigger than what it actually was gonna be, because this drawing, for those who do not know, is actually a recreation of a drawing that I did last year for Valentine's Day. I decided that it would be a good idea at last minute to draw Kilala and Ray in their wedding outfits at last minute. It wasn't. The drawing was okay. Kilala, every time I've drawn Kilala, I've been very, very satisfied with how she's turned out. She looks very nice. Ray looked okay. I thought it was okay, when I first saw him, but then, as I got older and wiser, I realized, oh my goodness, it sucks. It sucks. It really does suck. I need to redo this. And also, I didn't get to do what I originally did with the background. The background was disastrous. It was just this grass and then sea and sky, I think. I don't even remember what I put in it. And there was no Disney princess in it. It was just these plasticky roses that I got from this rose brush that was metal roses. It's just I hated it. But no, this time I was going to do what I originally intended. And I knew that it would be big, so I wasn't even going to try to do it for Valentine's Day, and good thing I did. And instead I would just do it on a live stream for Valentine's Day. That would be much more easier, and it was. It was much more easier to do it that way, but it still took a long time to finish, because it wasn't like this drawing was that hard. It was just a lot of stuff to work on, and it didn't help because I kept adding more. It took me an hour just to finally figure out how the composition of these princesses would go. It was a lot of messing around because nothing looked right, and like I said, I had to make the canvas so much more bigger than I originally planned. It was almost hard to draw with because it was very heavy. It was a very heavy drawing, if that makes sense. And it was a lot of fun, but a little bit of a hassle. So the inspirations for these drawings were the first soundtrack for Sailor Moon Crystal, because despite my feelings for Sailor Moon Crystal that can feel a book, and also my feelings for Sailor Moon in general, I do like the art style of Sailor Moon. I like the style of Sailor Moon. Well, most of the time. Some of the manga pages could get a little cursed. But the author, whose name escapes me at the moment, I think it's I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It's Nao Kaguchi, I think. That's not it. That's not it at all. I was close, but it wasn't it. But oh well. Moving on. She does do some really good, pretty artwork, but there are times it's just okay, that looks a little wonk. But the animes do have lovely art. Although Crystal also had some cursed images too. Ugh. Anyway, the soundtrack though. The soundtrack, I think I just burst people's eardrums. The soundtrack was lovely. I loved how it was Princess Serenity and King Endymion. They were holding each other, longing each other in their eyes. And in the background, you have the Moon Kingdom, the Earth Kingdom, Luna, and then emblems of the Inner Sailor Scouts. And I just thought it looked really nice, and that's what I was kind of going for, was this. And then I decided that I was going to put each of the princesses in these oval-like frames. I got the inspiration of that from an artist that I found on Twitter and Instagram, Kimstar Art, a Korean artist. Very lovely illustrations of the Disney princesses they made, and it just looked really, really nice. And I really did enjoy those illustrations, so that was definitely an inspiration right there. And I think that I really did like how it came around. The one thing that I did notice, and it's like, okay, so that was my inspiration. But I wasn't looking to them for the poses. I was trying to make original poses for all of them. But the original pose that I came up with Snow White just wasn't working out. So I went for something completely different. I went for her holding the apple, and it just didn't look right either. It was like, do I really want to draw her holding her murder weapon in her hand? That'd be like me drawing Bruce holding the gun that killed his parents. Just weird. So I decided to finally go with this, and I based the pose off of an illustration that I made of Masato Yoshiko as Snow White. Masato Yoshiko being my original character from my series, Revolution Full Color. And, yeah, I then realized, oh my goodness, this looks very similar to Kim Star's. I swear I didn't copy her trace. It just like, I was thinking of her holding a bird and her hand just kind of up like that. It's a very simple pose, but it just so happened to be like it. So I tried to change it later on because I was like, oh, okay, I don't want people getting the wrong idea here. So I fixed it. Did I fix it? I don't know, but I didn't feel like drawing a new thing from scratch. But in the end, I got it to work out. Anyway, for Kilala, the leading lady of this illustration, I came up with the idea, like I said, of her just in a very similar pose to the Sailor Moon soundtrack. So her and Rei just holding hands, looking longingly in each other's eyes, because, you know, I already plagiarized one person, might as well plagiarize the Sailor Moon soundtrack. That's a joke. That's a joke. I didn't plagiarize anybody. Although I think by some people's standards, maybe I did. I don't know. I didn't mean to. For Kilala Princess, I decided to add a little bit of extra to her. So for each of the princesses, I already gave them a little bit more detailed designs, and for Kilala, I had to get this 3D model out because I couldn't find out how to draw her bow. I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. And I tried to look up inspirations on Google to look for reference images, but all of them were either men bow ties or if I tried Japanese schoolgirl to be a little more specific, it was like AI drawings, and they weren't from the right angle, so I was like, this is not helping. So I got out that 3D model just to try to figure it out, and it was helpful. I did figure it out. Like, the male bow ties just weren't the right, it just didn't look right. And everything I did to make it a little bit more nicer, actually the main thing I did, is I added this lace to the bottom of her school uniform, because I've seen that sometimes in anime, where they'll sometimes have the traditional pleated skirt, but then they'll add this like lacy kind of frill to the bottom, and I just thought that looked so cute. So I just had to do a similar idea with it. So I gave this nice heart lace, and I really do like how it turned out. And yeah, it did definitely was nice. Like I said, I've actually always been very happy and satisfied with how I've drawn Kilala. She's very fun to draw, very easy. The only other thing that I was thinking that I might have done is I might have drawn her in her original ponytail. So in the first 2 volumes, she wears a very thick, heavy ponytail, and it's with a braid. But then later on in the rest of the series, she changes it for a more thinner, lightweight ponytail, and it's kept up by a jeweled beaded hair tie. And I actually do like the heavier ponytail more, but I decided to go for this one because she does technically wear this longer throughout the series, and also because I wanted a little bit of red in her so that way she could tie in with Rei. Speaking of Rei, I had to completely reconstruct his head because, oh my goodness, like I said, when I look back at the drawing, it's like, this does not look right. Not look right at all. It just like, what was I thinking? So I completely reconstructed his head and gave it a try, and I do have to admit, it does look better. I want to say this is because of my great levels of improvement that I was able to do it so much better this year than last year, but I think it was more probably because I was just rushing so much last year. But I don't know, maybe I did improve. That is one thing when I go back and I look at my drawings, I'm like, okay, did I improve or did I not? I don't know, it's always hard for me to tell. Because sometimes it's like, I don't think it's more of I improved, I just think I did really bad that time. Although there are times I can see, okay, this is a clear, distinct improvement, and I can even recognize some mistakes that I made. It's like, okay, I can actually see where I can improve this. That's good. That's good. It means I'm improving, which should be some kind of improvement. I've been doing digital art for almost 10 years this year. Yeah, so I've been on YouTube for 10 years. That was last year, but this year will be my 10th anniversary of doing digital art. I pretty much started digital art in the same year that I did Speedpaint. So in fact, that's why I wanted to start digital art, is because I wanted to continue doing anime art for YouTube, but anime art was just becoming a little too expensive because I wanted to save my nice art supplies for the kind of art that my mother would be proud of. So landscapes, animals, portraits, not anime stuff. So I wanted to become a digital artist to make speed paints, and I always thought they looked so cool. And in fact, and I'll talk more about this later on, but my first digital speed paint ever was Yuzuru Haragi, and it was horrible. Everything about it was awful, and you cannot find it because the evidence has been deleted because I used copyrighted music in that video because I didn't know what type of music to use in YouTube videos back then, and yeah, the evidence is gone. And then for my second speed paint I did Kilala. Then my third speed paint I think I did Emily and Sally from the Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas. And which is funny because for my 100 speed paint I was going to draw Yuzu, but at that time I was really mad at Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V because I hated the ending, so I didn't want to draw her. So in the end I decided to cop out and draw Mariko from the manga Full Moon Osaga Shita. Because, technically, my first time I ever showed myself using a digital art platform, I drew Mariko traditional, but I did the background digitally. And since I didn't have a screen recorder back then, I just held my 3DS physically up to my computer screen and just kind of recorded it and put it at the end. It was fun. So because of that, that was my 100 speed paint. I forget if that one's still actually on YouTube. I think I might have used music in it that was copyrighted. I know for the traditional drawing, I definitely used copyrighted music, so yeah, that's gone. It's history. Bye-bye. Which is funny because most of the time my videos don't even get copyrighted. I just delete them because I don't want them getting copyrighted. This is why I use only public domain YouTube audio library music. It's boring, but it's more safer for me. I like to avoid unnecessary struggles. So, yeah, I ended up just using YouTube audio library music now, and because those ones are history. And then for my Kilala speed paint, that was my second speed paint, so my 200th speed paint was going to be that. And my 200th speed paint was going to be Kilala because unlike Yuzuru Haragi, I've always loved my character Kilala, thankfully, and I was very happy to redraw her, and the drawing still looks pretty cool, actually, to be honest. I'm very happy with how Kilala turned out. Not so much the background, but she turned out very nicely. And so that means for the 300th speed paint, which is kind of funny that it's coming up at the same time as my 10th anniversary of doing digital art on YouTube. Does that mean I'm going to draw Emily and Sally for my 300 speed paint? No, sorry. If you want to see them, maybe later on down the road. I don't really do Halloween. I don't really celebrate. Not my thing. But that said, it kind of feels weird drawing them in March. Well, not March. Technically it will be June. That's when my 10th anniversary will be coming up. Which also means, yeah, I gotta try to get to 300 speed paints real fast. I gotta move up production, folks, because we want to get to that deadline. I do have a backup deadline, which will be in August, which is my 11th anniversary on YouTube for my 300 speed paint, but I really am hoping that I can get that June deadline in. But that said, to do that, I really do have to stick to a schedule that I'm already behind. So we're doing great. We're doing great. Anyway, enough of that speed paint. Let's focus on the speed paint at hand, because as far as we know, the world could blow up and we couldn't even not get there. And as you can see, yes, I did skip over his hair. That was a mistake. It always is a mistake. I don't know why I bother recording speed paints. I always end up pushing pause and forget to push resume, and I always end up missing something. It's fine. It's fine. It's not like we're an artist and we're recording and making speed paints. But whatever, we're just gonna have to let it go. Let it go, like Elsa says. Let it go. Why? It turned out so perfect too, and I had so much fun. Honestly, I really did enjoy drawing Ray and Kilala. I knew that their shading was going to be more detailed than the background characters, because unlike the Sailor Moon artwork, which kind of all looked like it was a stained glass window, I wanted them to be like in front of the stained glass window, so they would not have minimalistic shading. They would have more detailed shading, and I gotta say it was really fun. And I think it's pretty good. I don't like to toot my own horn. I hate tooting my own horn, but I am very happy with it. I think it looks really nice. I guess if anything I could have done better would have been in Ray's coat, but I kind of knew going in, like, I had low expectations for it, and I don't think it looks bad. It just could have been better. It's I don't know why, for some reason when you have that much kind of material draping behind, it's kind of hard. You would think it wouldn't be, considering the fact that I've been drawing trench coats, or just long billowy coats, I don't know what you would call this, for a long time, because my character, Kilala Lucidian, she used to have that kind of coat. It wasn't short sleeve though, and it wasn't white. It was black and had long sleeves, so maybe that's the difference. Maybe drawing it white is harder. Which, yeah, kind of white is a little bit harder, depending on the fabric. Like, if it's like a really latexy, kind of smooth, glossy fabric, then yeah, that's kind of easy. That's actually fun. Like, when I was drawing Mari from the movie series Neon Genesis Evangelion, she was really fun to draw. Was her white body Ava plug suit. It was really easy, and it turned out really nice. But when it's fabric like his coat, which I don't even really know what it would be made out of, to be honest. I can imagine what Kilala's shirt is made out of, a kind of cottony color fabric. But the jacket, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know these things, but because of that, it's just a little bit hard. But mostly everything on Kilala was very easy, because I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I've seen these fabrics and materials of clothing in real life. I know what they're like, I know how they feel, and I've seen many of other people draw them in hundreds of illustrations, so it gave me a lot of references, a lot of experience, and just also a way to put my own spin on it, because that's basically the most important thing with your art. You look at the masters, you learn from the masters, and then you try to put your own spin on it. Yeah, there you go. Art 101, folks. Aha! You gotta love it. It's so fun, it's so easy, but yet you hate it because it drives you insane trying to get everything right, but yet you still try to do it because as much as you hate it, you also love it. You love it! I need to get back to doing some classical painting too, because I've been really missing that. I haven't done it in a long time. I'm so rusty, oh my goodness. People are going to ask, what did you do as your talents on my deathbed? And I said, nothing. I spent my life being a potato. If I have any grandchildren, they'll be like, Grammy, were you a wasteful piece of potato? And I will say, yes. Yes, I was. Do something with your life, Granny, because don't be like me. Oh well. I don't know why I kind of made a little bit of a dot pattern on her shoes. I don't know why I'm mentioning it now. It's long past. I'm coloring Ray's shoes. Which I think that's why I brought it up, is because I didn't add the dot pattern to his shoes. I don't know. It just felt like something I wanted to do. And I do like it. It does look nice. Although you can't really see it when it's done. Because the background will kind of overtake it, as you can see. But yeah, for Kilala, Ray, definitely more detailed shading, but not too detailed. Very glossy, very smooth. The brush I used for the line art was, I think the G pen. I gotta go back and look. But I think it was a G pen, but it wasn't on the sharpest edge. But it wasn't on the softest edge because I didn't want everything too soft. And made everything very nice, very shiny, but not too, like, plasticky kind of shiny, because that's always a risk. I have this one auto color line art feature tool that's like an auto function. It's a lifesaver. I love it. I said lightsaber instead of lifesaver. It's a lifesaver. It really does come in handy. If you want to know what it is, just let me know. I'll link into it. I've linked to it down in the description, but that's so much more work for me to do, and I don't feel like doing it. So if you ask, I'll let you know. But if you don't, then I'm not gonna bother. Because my descriptions are already so long. And I can tell that this description's gonna be pretty long. I'm not even sure if I'll finish recording the audio. I've had to record this audio in several parts. I was hoping that I could have gotten it all done on the 24th, but I didn't because I was a pathetic schlog. But whatever. We're just gonna have to roll with it. So yeah, for the princesses, like I said, I made each of their costumes a little bit more detailed, a little bit more decorative. I really did like what I came up with. And for the line art, I wanted to keep it thick, but still show off the details. I was kind of really trying to make this look like a stained glass window. So thick black lines, really bold colors, and minimalistic shading. And in the end, it didn't work. Well, it might have worked, but I had to go and make it more complicated than I did because I was going to just do minimalistic shading, like I said, but later on, you'll see. I end up blowing it. Okay, so maybe not blowing it, that's a little harsh. Let's wait at least 3 months before I become harsh on myself for this drawing. Because, like I said, as of right now, I do like it. That seems to be a running theme with me. I always end up liking my drawings, and I'm saying, oh, this one's actually different. This drawing's different, Mom. I actually did good at it. I like it. And then I'm like, oh, this is horrible. This is the worst thing I've ever done. Why? I've shamed my great sheepish name. My God, I failed. Nah, I don't think that was every drawing, to be honest. Like I said, I've always been very happy with how I've drawn Kilala, and I do see some improvement. And speaking of improvement, I've definitely gotten a little better at drawing Ariel, which makes sense. I've been drawing Ariel as long as I've been alive, pretty much. I mean, like, the moment I saw Little Mermaid, I wanted to draw her. Well, actually, I had my mom draw her at first, and then later on I started doing it, and I became way better than my mom now. And for Ariel, the extra details that I decided to give for her outfit was this kind of like skirty, swishy thingy. Kind of just wanted to tie in a little bit more purple into her outfit. I kind of find it funny that Disney's always been kind of looking for a purple princess until Rapunzel came along, because they wanted each princess to be marketed as a different color, so that way girls could pick out their favorite color and blah blah blah. And for Ariel, they always did blue or aqua, but never purple. Instead, they would always make Jasmine purple and such, so I always just found it funny. Anyway, like I said, for Ariel, I did the extra frills and lace. Not much really that I could do with her. I didn't really want to give her jewelry because that would have been a little too distracting, so I just moved on. And for Snow White, I added some lace to the frilly collar thing that I still, for the life of me, cannot identify what the name is. I probably should look it up, but I don't feel like it. For her hair, I gave it a little bit more extra curl to it, but it's more just me just kind of drawing it. And I also wanted to make her outfit look very elegant, but also very lighthearted and playful, like she is. You know, very soft and innocent and energetic, not like intimidating elegance, but instead soft, comfy elegance, if that makes sense. So I gave her bow a lot of volume because smaller bows kind of just look a little bit more dainty and delicate. I wanted to make her bow look very fun, so I made it very big, kind of like Minnie Mouse. I gave her dress a little bit more ruffles and frills than it usually has, and a little bit more ornate details on the corset area. At least I'm not sure if you'd call it a corset. It should be, technically, because, you know, the corset was in the original Snow White, but Disney didn't do that, so I guess it's just called the chest area. I don't know proper terminology, at least at this hour of the morning, folks. I am literally recording this drawing on the day that I'm uploading it, hopefully. I'm hoping if this video gets out on Wednesday, the 25th of February, 2026, then that means we are good to go. If this comes out on Tuesday, October 7th, 2053, that means we've done messed up. Something went wrong. I don't know what. I don't even know if there is a Tuesday. October 25th in 2020. I don't even remember what number I just said. I literally just said it and I just forgot it. Anyway, I added a bird because, like I said, it's inspired off of the pose that I made Misato with. I wanted to make it look similar to that Snow White dress that I gave Misato, but I didn't want it to make it look exactly like it. So I wanted to make sure that it was still different enough. Because I did want to do something different. But I didn't want to do the same thing that I did for my last time I drew her, which was in, funny enough, 2021, which was the year that I made Misato. That means that this year's her 5th anniversary. Does that mean I will make her Revolution of Full Color Chapter 2? Probably not, because I even got Chapter 2 ready, because it's a mess. I need to get it all straightened out. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. For Cinderella, I just gave some extra details on her necklace, a little bit more lace and design on her, like, corset area. I don't know what you call it. And I added her headband thingy is always weird, because I'm like, are those earmuffs? Did they just not draw her ears? Are they earrings? Because they're connected to the headband, but they don't show her ears. It's like, what happened to Cinderella's ears? So I just made them as earrings because it looked weird drawing them as, like, earmuffs. They're not headphones. Would Cinderella be the kind of girl who would listen to music 24/7 and wear headphones if she was in modern day? I don't know. They didn't give her headphones when they put her in Wreck-It Ralph 2. That was something that was kind of funny in Wreck-It Ralph 2, is that the princesses they probably focused the most on were probably Ariel, Rapunzel, not Sleeping Beauty, Anna and Elsa, if I remember correctly. I only saw that movie once. I did not enjoy it. But as for the Disney princess scene, it was like, I couldn't tell if I liked it or if I didn't like it. But they really didn't know what to do with the Renaissance, the classical era Disney princesses. Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. They were just like, they were there. And especially with Aurora and Snow White, you could tell they did not know what to do with their characters, because they probably think that they have no characters, which is not true. I think they do have characters. They're just not, like, the most in-depth, rich characters, because that's not the point of their stories. Their stories are to be more emotional stories. You know, you see, they're more ideas than they are people, and it's the same thing with the prince in each of their story. Philip has a name, which is more than Prince Charming has in Snow White's story, but still, he's not like a fleshed out character, because it's not the point. In fact, if anything, in Sleeping Beauty, I think you could argue that the three good fairies are the main protagonists, despite the name being Sleeping Beauty. I think I said this in my last speed paint. There's a really good video by the YouTuber What About Bob, and not What About Bob, Better Was Bob. What About Bob is a movie. Better Was Bob, and he really does do a great breakdown of Sleeping Beauty. You should check it out. And he just talks about the beauty of it, and like I said, it didn't say anything that I didn't know, but it is really nice to hear it from other people. It's like, oh, you're not alone in thinking this. But anyway, we're not talking about, we're talking about Sleeping Beauty, but we're drawing Jasmine. For Jasmine, I was going to almost make her in her purple dress, because she does wear a purple dress in Aladdin #2, and I thought it would be fitting because purple is the color that she's represented by on the tiara. So if you don't know the plot of Kilala Princess, the plot is about Kilala meeting a young boy who she later discover is on a journey to find the 7th princess, who's the owner of a mysterious tiara. And the tiara has 7 blank spaces, one for each gem. And so she goes around to different princesses' worlds and collecting the gemstones for the tiara. And each gemstone is different. And Ariel gets aquamarine, Snow White gets ruby, Cinderella gets diamond, Aurora gets pink quartz, Belle gets topaz, and Jasmine gets amethyst. And because of that, I was going to put her in a purple dress, but technically it just didn't look right. And she does technically wear the aqua, teal, turquoise, I don't know what color it is. Sometimes it looks more teal, sometimes it looks more turquoise, but in the movie it kind of looks more sky blue, so I'm just gonna say turquoise. Nice, happy in between, and that is what color I think it is. Turquoise. She looks really nice in that outfit. There isn't a single color that Jasmine literally looks bad in. She looks good in purple, she looks good in turquoise, she looks good in blue, she even looks good in brown. I mean, it's not her best color, which makes sense. I mean, brown's not my best color either. Skin color's about the same as mine, I would guess. If you were to put her in real life, but she does look good in every single ever color that I've seen her in. I really do like Jasmine's design a lot, and because of that I just decided to go for the original, but of course I spruced it up with extra details. And for Aurora, because I put Jasmine in her original outfit, I knew I would have to put Aurora in her original outfit. In the end I went for the pink one because it was like, that is technically her color, even though I like the blue dress more. For Belle's dress, I went for the direction of the golden dress of Belle. So Disney did these different marketing campaigns, and there would be different versions of the Disney princesses that they would use for promotional art. They had like a diamond one, a glitter one, and then they also had a golden one where each one of the dresses were more spruced up and detailed, and they were gold. And for Aurora's dress, the beaded jewels were replaced with roses, and I absolutely love that. That was so beautiful. This is what her dress should have looked like in that garbage live action remake movie. I'm sorry to all who like the live action remakes. Let it be known, the sheep does not like any of them. I hate them all. And I know some people love Cinderella, some people love Beauty and the Beast. Cool, fine, if you like them, not gonna take anything away from you guys, but I love the originals, and as an adult I've only loved them more and more because of such beauty, such art, and the fact that Disney doesn't even make movies like that is sad, so it just makes me appreciate them even more, and I just love them. Like, there's this one YouTuber called Aster Rivermaster. She does breakdowns of the original songs and compares them to the live action remakes. She does such a good job, and just watching the videos makes me realize how much more better the music was in the original ones compared to the live action remakes. Howard Ashman was the boss when it came to lyrics, and the fact that they changed his work is just kind of, honestly, it's kind of disgusting in my opinion, because it's like, oh my goodness, you changed this man's work? He died. Shouldn't you honor him? But no, of course not. They don't care. They do not care. And they don't care about anything. These are just cheap cash grabs. And like, especially with Snow White and Aurora, Snow White and the Little Mermaid. I know those were particularly hated because of the actresses that they picked to play in them, because they didn't look the part. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I wish they would have picked actresses that looked the part, because you're doing remakes of them, so I think that's just the way you should do it. I didn't even like the actress they got to pick Jasmine. Naomi Scott can sing, but I mean, technically I'm pretty sure Jasmine should be, I mean, Agrabah's a fictionalized country in the Middle East, but nonetheless, it's the Middle East. I think you should pick a Middle Eastern actress to play her, not a Southeast Asian. I think Naomi Scott's half Indian. It just didn't look right. And it's the same thing with The Little Mermaid and Snow White. And it's like, if you're gonna do them, you should pick actresses that look right. But even if they did, I still would not like them. Because Cinderella, she was blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and the movie, I hated it. I hated Cinderella. That's the only one I've actually saw outside of Snow White. Because I just kind of made it a policy not to watch them because I don't like to give my. I do hate watch stuff and I do like roast stuff, but there are my limits. There are a few things I will not watch, and the Disney live action remakes are one of them. The only reason why I watched Snow White is because, of course, I would watch it. It was a car crash disaster. Oh my goodness, and it was like so bad, so bad. It was kind of funny bad, to be honest, but and fixing the actors would not help, although the actors definitely made it worse, because at least for all the ever actresses that they had for the Disney live action remakes, even the ones that didn't look right for the part, like, I didn't like Aurora's actress that they got for Sleeping Beauty. I mean, I know some people think she's good, but I don't think she looks the part either. But like, all of them, they seem like pleasant, nice people. They were all nice, and they all could, like, I wouldn't say they all could act, because I don't think Emma Watson can act. Emma Watson's in everyone. Oh, don't get me started on her. I hated her as Belle. She can't sing, she can't act, she can't do nothing. She was just picked for her name, I swear. But with Rachel Zegler, she wasn't pleasant. She kept on dissing the original one, and I hated how she did that. Shut up, shut up, shut up. But even if they did switch the actors, I still would have not liked it. Because like I said, I love the animation, and I think making them live action just does a great disservice to what Disney originally wanted. But anyway, let's talk enough about the live action remakes. Let's talk about the pleasantries of this drawing in the background. Because like I said, I know a lot of people do like them, so again, if you do, cool. Not gonna take that away from you. I just don't. But anyway, for the drawings background, I decided to make things that were around each of the princesses that represented each of their stories. So for Snow White, I did a pie, an apple, the queen's heart box. I didn't do the entire box, I just did the heart. And I also did a blossom tree to represent spring. For Cinderella, as you can see here, I added a beaded necklace and a sash. Those are both to tie into her stepsisters. I added the glass slipper, of course, and I had to go back and add the pie because I forgot about the pie for Snow White. I added the pumpkin for Cinderella, and I also added the magic wand. And the reason why I added the magic wand, in addition to the fact that it's obviously like a big part of her story, is later on I add each of the gems in the I said it how in Call of Princess she gets gems from each different princess world, and for the Little Mermaid and Snow White's world, she gets a physical gem, an aquamarine and ruby. But for Cinderella's world, she is gifted it via the magic wand, the fairy godmother's magic wand. So yeah, I had to put that in there. And for Jasmine, I of course did the magic lamp, because that's obviously the most important object was in the entire story. And I also did the golden scarab beetle. You'll see that in a minute. And I tried to add the magic carpet. I added right here on the side, rolled up, and it just does not look right at all, so I'm gonna change that later on. I also add a purple lotus flower because she wears those in her hair a lot, and also because that is where she gets Jasmine's gem, is in a purple lotus flower. And I just realized I'm spoiling Kilala Princess. The series has been out for years, and saying where she gets the gems is not a complete spoiler. So hopefully this doesn't ruin it if you haven't seen it. I don't know. Will anyone actually go read Kilala Princess from this and check it out? I don't know. It's one of those things. I also realized that I mentioned several things before I finished them. So I mentioned the heart from the Queen's Heart box before I even drew it, because I was so behind because I was ranting about the Disney live action remakes. I wanted to catch up, so I thought I would quickly name everything off to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then I realized I didn't draw several things, like the ruby or the heart the heart box. I really had fun drawing the clock tower. It looks so nice. I actually wanted to put like some spinning thread, like, you know, spools of thread, and also the key from the evil stepmother used to lock Cinderella up. But I had so much objects with Cinderella, it's just like, I'm trying to keep them relatively balanced, so I just stopped while I was ahead. For Ariel, I of course did the snorflop, aka the pipe, the dinglehopper, aka the fork, the nautical seashell, at least that's what I think type of seashell it is, from Ursula, and I added some seaweed just because to represent the ocean. Also added a little bit of bubbles, you'll see that, and I also added the aquamarine, which is from the Kilala Princess manga. Although I made the aquamarine the wrong shape. I made it the typical diamond cut shape. It technically should have been a pear or teardrop shape. I don't know the exact word. And I really do wish that I made it the teardrop shape, but I didn't. And yes, I copied and pasted the dinglehopper from the last drawing I did of Ariel because I was too lazy to draw one from scratch. But it's still my dinglehopper. I drew it. Oh my goodness. What did I just say? Moving on. For Belle, it was a little bit hard just because most of the objects within her story are actually people. And I didn't want to put people in this drawing. No Flounder, no Raja, no characters. So I was just like, what do I pick? So in the end I picked a stack of books, the magic mirror, and the enchanted rose, and I put Chip in there, but I didn't draw a face on him, so hopefully that balances that. And for Aurora, I added Maleficent's magic staff. I've always loved that staff's design. I always wanted one of my own, so that way I could beat my brother with it. And I just beat him into submission. Obey me, brother! Bad, Nora Vanguard, bad! So yeah, I wanted one of those. Like I said, I added Chip, but I didn't put a face on him because I didn't want it to be obvious that it was a character. I mean, I don't know why I said obvious, because of course it's obvious. Anyone who's seen the movie will know it's Chip, the character. But if his face is not on it, that means it is not on. That's something that I always question, is Chip has brothers and sisters when he's a teacup, but then when they turn human, it's only Chip. So were they ever brother and sisters just imaginary? Did she not have a bunch of kids? Or do we just not see them? I don't know. I love drawing the enchanted rose. And yes, I reused the enchanted rose that I used for my 2021 drawing of Belle. I also had to move Belle over because I realized I had a lot of blank space on her oval frame, and I did not like that, so I had to scooch her over. I should have technically put something from Gaston in her drawing as well, since everyone had something that represented their villains. The evil staff of Maleficent. I don't know why I said evil staff. The staff from Maleficent, the sash and pearls from the evil stepsisters, the nautical seashell from Ursula, the queen's heart box, and the golden scarab from Jafar. But it just felt weird because the only thing I could think of for Gaston was his boots, and no way I was going to put that on this drawing. So I just did the magic mirror, and he did steal the magic mirror, and that is how he got to the Beast's castle. So in the end, I think it all works out. It's all good. It's all good. And for Aurora, I also added 3 stars, one to represent each good fairy. I also added a spinning wheel that I forgot to record me drawing. I based it off of a photo. I had to look for the right kind of spinning wheel that had that kind of open needle. I was told that the needle part that she actually pricks herself on isn't actually, like, I don't know. I don't know anything about spinning wheels. I don't know nothing about nothing, especially when it comes to spinning wheels, so we're just gonna not talk about that. And then for Belle, I also added these golden watch, which is where Kilala finds the topaz in Belle's world. The only thing I forgot is I should have put a glass pink bead in there for Aurora, since that's where she ends up finding the rose quartz. But I forgot. I totally forgot. So yeah, But I got enough stuff for Aurora. I ended up going for rainbow also on Aurora's side, and some bubbles. And I think the bubbles were really nice because it ties into Ariel, but it's also bubbles, flowers, and a rainbow. That's what the free good fairies used to escape Maleficent's castle is. They turned the boulders into bubbles, they turned the arrows into flowers, and they used a rainbow to block the boiling hot acid water. I always love that scene. It's such a good scene. I always just find it funny that so many people say, "Oh, Sleeping Beauty, it's such a sexist movie. Aurora's got no agency." It's like, yeah, that's because she's not supposed to, because she's more of an idea character than a character. And you could say, "Oh, that's sexist," but Philip's the same way. The main stars are more of the free good fairies. I think I already said that, didn't I? I don't know. I've recorded this audio so many times, I forget what I said and what I didn't say. But yeah, free good fairies, more of the protagonists, and I think they're the ones who saved the day. Philip could have not even gotten out of Maleficent's castle without the free good fairies' help. And Maleficent's like a total badass. She's the best evil villain. That's why I hate her movie. The only thing I'll say about her movie is Lisa was doing something different, but it's still the same old trope of, oh, what if the villain's not really the villain? What if she's just misunderstood and she's a cool bad guy? But then they want her like to be the bad guy, but also like a babysitter too. And she's just an awkward, cute babysitter who likes Aurora. It's just like, ugh. I hate it. And yes, I know. I traced the magic carpet. I'm sorry. I didn't feel like drawing it. I was just like, enough is enough. So I was just like, we're just gonna have to eat it. So I ended up getting this picture of the magic carpet from the Aladdin, and I ended up changing it a little bit, but for the most part, yes, I traced it. Have I any shame? Yes, I do. Every single waking day. And I also had to recopy the crown. And not only did I copy the line art, I just copied the entire crown from my last drawing of Kilala Princess, the wedding one, because I forgot to put it in there. I'm lucky I even remembered it. The only reason why I remembered it is because I was like, why is their hands so weird? Shouldn't they be interlaced with each other? And then I realized, oh, they were supposed to be holding the crown. And then I was like, oh great, now I gotta draw it. But then I was like, I don't really want to spend a whole bunch of time drawing the crown because it is such a small detail. So in the end, I just decided to recycle, reduce, reuse, recycle, the free R's. And then, of course, I had the golden frame. I got it from the clipstudiopaint acid store. Same frame I also used for my Aurora drawing. I really did like it. That's why I knew it would look really good for this drawing. I changed it up a little bit, traced over it to make it my own. And then for the coloring of the princesses, I was going to relatively keep it very flat and pretty much just the base colors to make it look much like a stained glass window. And sometimes in stained glass windows, I haven't looked at every single stained glass window in the world, but at least from the ones that I saw, sometimes they will kind of stain the glass in a way to kind of mimic shading, but for the most part, the colors are pretty flat, and of course, they're pretty, like, bright, because obviously the sun is shining through them. Or sometimes people put, like, stained glass windows when there is no window, but to make it light up, they'll put, like, an LED light behind it. I actually kind of like that. I have a stained glass lamp, actually. It was my aunt's, and I inherited it, and she gave it to me, and it's a peacock, and it's stained glass, and it looks lovely. I had to change the light bulb, though, because when I turn it on right now, it kind of, I think the light bulb's wattage is too high, so I gotta try to get a lower wattage. I have no idea why my aunt had such a high wattage bulb in there. But yeah, like I said, colors, keep them very flat, very smooth, nothing too detailed, but it just didn't look right. It looked very unfinished, to be honest, so I do end up going in with some shading, but I think I might have done a little too much. Like I said, I think I failed in making it look like a stained glass window. I don't think the drawing looks bad. Like, I am proud of it. Putting all this detail, all these little references, all these little designs, the objects, everything about it was just, it was very fun to work on. and very relaxing. I had a lot of fun doing it, and it's probably gonna be my largest drawing for a while, because after this, like I said, I'm coming up to 300 speed paints, and my 10th anniversary of doing digital art is in June. Was in June. It might have actually been in earlier than that, but June. I deleted my first YouTube video of me doing digital art because I used copyright music in it, because I used to use copyright music a lot, but now I don't. And I forget if I said that already earlier. I forget what I said and what I haven't said already. Pardon me if I repeat myself. But yeah, so there's a lot of YouTube videos that I deleted of my own accord because I didn't want them to get copyrighted. I was like, nah, YouTube's not going to take them down for copyright. I'm going to take them down because I don't want to take the risk. So yeah, the first video is gone, so I might have started earlier than June, but June is what I'm going to say my anniversary is. It's also the anniversary of my 100th speed paint and my well, not my 200th speed paint. That was in July. So I'm gonna try to finish relatively about that, but that means I have to move at a very, very fast pace, much more faster pace even in the beginning of my YouTube career. Like, I think the pace of my old YouTube speed paint process was like a video, like 7 videos a month or something like that, or roughly around like every 7, and then later on it became like every 10 if I was to round it up now. I don't know math, but this time I would have to do like every 5, so. And I'm already behind, like I said. And because of that, and if I do want to reach the deadline, like I said, it's not going to be a complete pin down to it, but I do want to try to make it so my ever speed paints are going to be nowhere near as detailed as this one. They're going to be more simple portraits of different characters, fan art, maybe some original art, but I think I'm mostly going to do fan art. I got everything all scheduled and everything worked out. I just need to recalculate my schedule because I am behind now. Anyway, for the background, I did this kind of rainbowy pastel thing for each of the princess side. I was gonna do like a sky, but it didn't look right, so I just decided to do a pastel rainbowy, and then I added this golden frame, and I did it in gray and white, and my plan was just to do a gradient map over it because I figured it would be a lot simpler. And it would have been if it wasn't for the fact that I completely forgot how to use gradient maps. I always forget. And every time I look up videos, they always go into the advanced details of gradient maps and how to like properly apply them, the color values and stuff like that. I'm just like, all I want to know is how to apply it. How do I apply a gradient map? How do I install a gradient map? Because you can see right there, I got 2 new gradient maps for different sets of metal. And I installed them, but then when I went back, they were gone, and I'm like, where do they go? So I had to reinstall them, even though it technically said they were already installed. So after I reinstalled them, I then was like, okay, there's a gradient map, and I clicked on it, and was like, okay, why is it not there? Why is it not applied? And then I realized I have to click a certain thing, but I forgot what I had to click, so I had to literally look that up. I hate using gradient maps with a passion. I've heard so many people say good things about them, but I'm just not sure. They're a little sus to me. Although I probably should practice. Oh yeah, that's what I did. I was going to do a sky and like an ocean, but then I went for the pastel rainbow, but then that didn't look right either. So I went for this kind of like muted sky. So it's like, for Ariel's, it looks like the top of an ocean getting into a deeper ocean. For Snow White's side, it looks more like sunrise. And then for Aurora's side, it looks more like a dark night. Same thing with Cinderella's, because their stories, midnight. Cinderella's at the ball at midnight, Aurora's asleep at night. And then for Belle and Jasmine, I just put like a pinkish color and a greenish color. I don't know why. It just looked right. It looked right. And then I took this glass texture that I got from clipstudiopaint and put it over it. That made everything look really nice. And then I put this really like very simplistic, very thick, bold textured shading that I achieved with a watercolor paintbrush. And then I added these watercolor backgrounds to each of the ovals, and I think they look nice. I think they really did help make it look like stained glass. And like I said, I really am proud of it. And then for the background of Kilala and Ray, I put an actual stained glass window, and I think it looks really nice. I actually got this from the clipstudiopaint asset store, so yeah, I didn't draw this myself. And I just put a lot of colors. It took me forever to find where I put the stained glass windows. I try to keep everything organized, but sometimes it's just like, okay, why can't I find this? Where is it? I don't know where anything is. Oh well. And then I added this rainbowy glitter pattern and then some sun, and I really do like how that looks, although technically this means the shadows that are technically not right on Kilala and Ray. I just blended their names together. Because they're coming from the top left side, or maybe it's like the middle left or whatnot, when technically the light source is coming from behind them. So the shadows would look completely different than what they are, but I didn't want to do that. And I already made it from the top left, so no way was I gonna redo it even if I wanted to. But even if I could, I was just like, I just wouldn't like how it looked. So we did this. Does it look right? No. Does it look good? I think it does, and that's what's important. It would probably look better if I worked out the shadows to be more accurate, but like I said, this is what we got. And then for the princesses, like I said, I wasn't going to do any shading whatsoever, but it just looked unfinished, so unfinished. And I just didn't want that. So I put some very, very simplistic shading. Because some ever inspiration for this drawing was two fan arts that I saw of Monica Magica, and both of those were kind of like stained glass window art, and they did have some shading, and they had kind of this dark line around the shading. So to achieve that, I just used some clipstudiopaint layer effects of the line art having edges, not line art, but the color to have edges, and that really did help kind of achieve the look that I was going for. And then for like the hair, I used these watercolory edge. And I also added some color, some like highlights to really make it pop and look special. So for Aurora, I of course put pink highlights. Ariel, I put aqua highlights. So forth, ad nauseum. And yeah, like I said, I think the drawing could have. I think if I could have done anything better for the drawing, I would say probably the shading on the princesses could have been a little bit better in the background, because I do think it kind of lost the original intent of looking like a stained glass window. But that said, I am still very happy with it at the moment. And like I said, in 2 weeks I'll probably hate it. But as of right now, I do really like it, and I might even turn it into a button or a poster. Probably not a button because it's a little too big. I would probably just have to do Ray and Kilala, kick out the Disney princesses for it to be a button. But as for possibly being a poster, that's also possible, but I don't know. Posters are very big. I have the poster of I made my Anastasia drawing that I did for the 25th anniversary into a poster, a canvas art poster, and it looks nice. Like, the retailer I got it from was just a rando on the Amazon, and it definitely looks nice. It's definitely high quality. Well, I wouldn't say high quality, but it definitely looks good quality. Not cheap at all. I mean, it was reasonably priced, but I'm saying it doesn't look cheap. The colors are right. It's just that I hate the drawing now. It's like, oh my goodness, there's a few things that I like on it, but there are other things that's just like, why did I have to turn this into canvas art? It just doesn't look right. Maybe I'll donate it in the middle of the night, but I did pay money for it, so I don't know. I would really have to make up my mind before I do anything concrete. But I would really, there's a part of me that would really love to have this turned into canvas art. But if I did, I'd have to take down the Little Mermaid one, which I did not make that one. That one I got from the Disney store. Or is it Disney World? I think it was from Disney store. And then the Anastasia one I made myself, and I have to take both those down and put them somewhere else because I don't have enough room for all of them, because I only have so much wall space. Yeah, like right here when I get to the shading for Snow White, that's definitely where I probably went way too overboard. I probably should have not done it. Probably should have kept it more minimalistic, but I can't help it. When I see something, it's just like, well, I gotta keep going because it just doesn't look right. One thing that was really funny is that when I was doing this part, so this was happening on the final day. It was the 24th. No, 23rd. So literally just 2 days ago, and while I was working on this, I always like to get long videos to listen to because then it helps me focus more, because then it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about getting a different video right away. So like if I'm listening to short YouTube videos, it's just like, okay, I gotta get another one because I just need something to listen to while I draw. It helps me focus. So I ended up looking for really long videos, like when I first started this drawing, I was listening to the Little Batoon's long review of The Acolyte, which was like 14 hours. Half of that was already finished, though, from when I was doing my Sleeping Beauty drawing. But when I got around to this part of the drawing, I turned on several Windigoon videos. So I'm listening to people get brutally murdered as I'm drawing princesses. Oh, that's so funny. It was specifically the killer in the walls, and then this one about, I forget the name, but it was about this family that was all murdered and they like disappeared and stuff, and it was very sad. Well, not sad for one family member. He was like a creep and a monster, and I'm not sad about him, but the rest of the family, it was very tragic. Yeah, the video is just called The Unsolved Case. That still haunts me. Yeah, anyway, that's not important. Yeah, and that was the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did not, thank you so much for watching this far. Anyway, if you did, do all the YouTube things. It means so much to me when you do. I will be back with another video, hopefully real soon. Like I said, I want to reach that goal of hitting 300 speed paints completed by June, because that is my 10th anniversary of doing digital art, but we'll see. Hopefully I can manage it, hopefully not. Because of that, though, the upcoming videos might not even have voiceover, because I will really need to rush. But for now, we have done this video, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!